Coach, you've had a couple days to look at Evansville. What are you seeing on tape?
They're an older team. They certainly can swing the bat well, and those two things kind of go hand in hand. They've got a lot of players that have been there for a while and have accumulated some reps. And then also, pitching, it kind of starts with, their lefty was conference pitcher of the year as a freshman for being a freshman. And they've leaned on their closer, who's got a real good breaking ball a lot. So there's a lot of pieces there. Center fielder can run down a ball as good as anybody. There's a lot of pieces there that are similar to the good teams in our league. And the one way they've done it, I've known Wes or Coach Carroll for a long time. He's always been real good at kind of running around, beating the bushes, and finding guys that he knows are going to develop into something even better than they already are. And so that's kind of been the makeup of that team, is there's a lot of guys who have developed and become even better than they are. And all together it makes for, a really good team.
I was going to ask you, do they remind you of any SEC clubs that you face this
A
year?
little bit of Kentucky with the well-balanced offense. They play with a real fun style. I think that's kind of one thing that gets lost in the mix. These game times, ESPN is, I assume, the one that has to juggle. There's only so many slots, and you got Caglione and you got these guys. So where are you going to put everybody? But I think the one thing in my conversations yesterday I kept reminding people is their style of play is fun. They're very confident. They get after it and play hard. So on top of the talent that's there, they got a style of play too that makes them maybe the sum better than the parts. And I think that's something that was entertaining for the folks that were out east watching their regional, which was highly competitive. And then again, something that's kind of been their engine to help them go. So, off the bat, just kind of that team would be one that sticks out. I'm sure there's other similarities in certain categories.
Tony, were you hoping for the later starts, or what about the day games, with the first two at least?
No, like I said, honestly, what we wanted was to play on Friday, and I'm sure all of our guys, that's the coaching staff, all the guys will take extra rest if they can have it, but it helps you kind of stay in a rhythm a little bit. We were able to replicate our week we did last week, this week, without the travel back from Hoover. So to us, it was good to play on Friday. And again, we know exactly what's going on with what games are out there. I mean, there's some exciting matchups, and so everybody's got to kind of go somewhere. I think seeding's kind of maybe plays into it at times, but that's overrated. I mean, if you're still playing, you've got the talent, but you've also got the locker room thing going on. So you've got a good group, and the seeding does matter in a regional. Because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and they sort it out, and it can affect pitching and things like that. But this weekend, all it is a series. It's either a road series or a home series, but either way, it's a series against two great teams at all the sites. And we're just blessed that we're playing at home here. We'll play whatever time. Our fans will show out. I mean, it'll be we got Friday to worry about, but it'll be like a football Saturday around here at 11. Only difference is I won't get to have fun. We'll have to work. Again, happy to be on our field, happy to be playing on Friday, but once the first pitch is thrown, like all the other sites, it's going to be two teams hooking it up.
I know every year is different, but the experience for some of these veterans and regionals and supers and even Omaha, does that help at this time of the year for this team?
Yeah, I do. I think even, like Billy's kind of been a part of it from a different angle. Some other guys are like that too. Cannon, you kind of see what it looks like, and you know how to navigate through situations a little better if you have experienced them. But I think really for the dugout and the whole, from our side, you lean so heavily on our preparation from our league, from being in Hoover, and then last weekend, it's different. It's different. Even though you just got done with the conference tournament, the regional is different. The NCAA now is running it instead of the SEC, and there's little subtle differences that you need to get out of your comfort zone and adjust to. And I'm a big routine guy. I want our guys to have routines. But you're going to have to adjust them this time of year to things that are a little quirky because it is the NCAA tournament.
A lot of talk on the outside about them being a number 4 seed and making its way to Super Regional. What's been your message to the players this week to make sure that they don't try and look past a team that is perceived as a 4 seed?
Yeah, I mean, I fortunately that noise doesn't get to me. Like I said, at this point, the seeding doesn't matter. You're either good enough to be at this spot or you're not, and you don't get any extra credit. We're not alternating sites. You don't get to be home team the whole weekend. It's whether you're on your field or not. So that's the benefit we see as it relates to the matchup. But they know what a hostile environment looks like from where they just came from. That's one of the more fun environments really in all of college baseball. And then to me, I'm just ready to get on and play a series, because last week it was the opposite. What about being this seed or that seed for us? And, again, to me, now that the regionals are over where you slate 1, 2, 3, 4, they don't matter. At the start of the tournament, you actually, I think 75% are the top 8. So to me, you either want to be in the top 16. It's a little better to be in the top 8 by percentage. And then after that, you can throw the rest of it out the windows, from what I think. Again, those regionals are not about let's get the very best with the bottom and things like that. It's the regionals, and it's based off travel and things like that. But they went to a very tough place and beat an extremely well-coached team, along with beating another team is pretty dang good too.
What do you anticipate to be the toughest part of this Super Regional this weekend?
I think controlling the adrenaline and intensity of the whole deal. I think our crowd helps us a ton. You got to get a little cautious, though, about getting too amped up. And I think our guys handled it great. Again, to me, being the second weekend in a row back home in a playoff environment should help our guys have a vision of what it looks like and how to handle it. But to me, the one negative example from last weekend would be we're in a position to finish or win the regional against a good team on Sunday night in Southern Miss, and our guys were a little too amped up about finish the job or whatever cliche you want to throw out there. And for about 3 or 4 innings, there was a little too much tension. So whether it's try hard or tension or too much adrenaline, those are things that come with the nature of it being a postseason game and playing at home in front of a juiced up crowd. So our guys need to enjoy it because they've worked hard to get here, and then they just need to play ball.
After the regional, you said you hope the guys could take some time to appreciate what they accomplished and soak it in. For you, when you first got here, you talked about how there were no fans in the stands. Can you take a step back and appreciate how far this program has come?
Not at this time. I don't think it's easy for me, and maybe it's not even the time. I do think from some of the conversations we had with the TV folks from last weekend is like, where are we now compared to, there have been stages here. I think we've stayed pretty consistent on how we want to approach the game and recruiting and everything else. But when we first got here, we needed to beat down the door, if not kick it down, as far as being competitive in the league and being relevant and getting respect from people and trying to get to the next stage, whether it be a regional or whatever, so our program knows what it's about. And we're far from figuring things out with our facility, recruiting. We want to get better as far as achievements on the field. But we are at a spot now where we feel like we can put all of our effort into being the best program we can be, as opposed to maybe kind of being this wild group of guys when we first got here of being on a mission just to do everything, keep our jobs, be relevant, be competitive, be somebody that again, gains respect from people that they play. So things have changed a little bit.
Do you have an update on AJ? Has he been able to get evaluated like you mentioned?
Yeah, nothing specific as far as what the next step will be for him, but he'll be unavailable. So it's kind of Coach Russell or Coach AJ for now, kind of as Billy did for a couple weeks there. And I don't mean make light of health or anything like that. I mean, he's still involved in practice and things like that right now, but he's kind of assumed a role in the dugout where he takes on some other duties. And to me, I enjoyed being around him. So for now, that's his task, and we'll see where we get, but more than likely would be shut down for the year.
What are some of those duties he's been handling?
Chart stuff, and then just communicate, answering questions. We have one more guy you can run stuff through, or go to this end of the dugout and get this guy ready, or, with our locker room being right there, sometimes our guys disappear and you're looking for a guy to pinch hit or send down to the bullpen or something like that. So it can be as simple as having a guy help you in that situation. So,
what's impressed you about their freshman lefty this year and their pair of older outfielders that kind of spark things for them?
Yeah, I mean, Schallenberger has always been good, and now again he's got so many repetitions that he can make argument for most valuable player in their offense. But like we talked about Indiana in specific last weekend, that offense is kind of 1 through 9, and then even Southern Miss, 7, 8, 9 kind of give us big time headaches in that game. So again, you get to this point, it's not blowing smoke. It's a fact, that everybody in the lineup is capable of doing damage, but he kind of leads the way. And with Deverman, I mean, he's, for a lefty, you kind of make jokes about quirky lefty and stuff like that. He's about as good of an athlete out there defensively as you're going to find. So, his pitching numbers and the awards, the accolades he got in the league this year speak for themselves on the pitching end. but he also is a guy that's got a good pickoff move, can really field his position, and has some savvy to mix things up a little bit on the mound. So he's got a full arsenal.
Between more. You
Kind
got
of
Mike.
joke, go for it, Sean.
Between Binky, Lloyd, and Phillips, it feels like all those guys have earned y'all's trust a little bit. Do you feel like there's certain roles that you would have all three cemented in? Do you want to go to each one in a certain spot? Now
that we've kind of shrunk down, the one difference between this and Hoover is you have a vision of where you're at. It's, similar to a conference series, or, we played those 3 non-conference series where it's a maximum of 3 games. It's a race to get to 2 wins. So it does kind of change the way you play out each game. So with how those guys have been throwing, I think it just kind of puts them in a group where we trust them. And also there's no excuses from our end or their end. They've been in a low rhythm where they've been pitching. And again, to throw in Hoover is one thing, but to throw last week is another. So I'd be foolish or remiss to say the pitching worked out perfect last week, but it was nice to not overextend anyone really, and also get everybody out there and kind of stay in a little bit of a rhythm. And I thought the way those guys had the ball, obviously Benke was outstanding, but the way those guys after him, Loy and Phillips, had the ball coming out of their hand was more of a positive than anything.
You kind of joked about Billy's walk-up song and players clapping along the other night. You ever had a player with a walk-up song that seems to affect a stadium in the same way that Billy's does?
Yeah, it was much smaller crowd, but at Missouri we had Zane Taylor. I think it was the theme to Boondock Saints, which I don't think our guys watch movies anymore, and they certainly probably, that one's old. But that was a fun one. And it was a fun walkout song for him. And then, we have faced, guys like Mershawn, who's a phenomenal athlete at Mississippi State, and a couple of the ones this weekend, the guys are humming in the locker room because it's a song they hadn't heard in a while or ever. And so, yeah, everyone in the lineup, teams we play, there's usually 1 or 2 in there that are pretty catchy. But I like Billy's when it's in our stadium, but it's hard not to say in Blades of Glory, if that's the movie. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. That scene might be just as good as a Billy at bat. I guess it depends what mood you're in.
What's the added challenge or pressure on the defense when you're going up against a team that's got 5 or 6 guys with an OP of greater than 400?
I think it's about attacking the strike zone at all times, and both staffs are going to try and do that. And then, with that comes knowing that the other team can do damage. So how confident and convicted can you stay at what you're trying to do as a particular pitcher? Because we've gotten to the point this year, like I said, we're not going to run you out there unless we trust you. But each of our pitchers are different, so they need to be convicted in who they are and just present the best version of themselves, with the understanding it's not always going to go perfect. You're not going to get every call. A slow roller might find a hole, whatever it might be. So the fact that they're more talented than the average team is something that's kind of out of our control, and I would like to hope that our pitchers see it out of their control too, and again are convicted to approach things that presents the best version of themselves.
Do you wish you had a better walk-up song, or do you still like the one you chose?
I wish I could hit better when I played, but I did like the one that I had, and there's a little more backstory to it, but no, I like that. I think it's fun that the NCAA decided to flip the script a little bit, because they used to not allow scripted music for any team, and now it makes it more enjoyable. And I think this thing has blown up into something. When I was little watching games in Omaha, I didn't think it would get to this level where there's so many superstar players to talk about, like some of the guys you asked about from Evansville and mentioned Cags, and the music and the crowds. This is a massive deal, and I'm envious of the people that get to be fans in the stadium this weekend. But next best thing will be standing there trying to get some wins.
What was your song?
Danzig, Mother.
Okay.
Yeah, you probably don't know what that is. Yeah, again, a little bit of a backstory, but also criteria for me was pick something unique, and for the most part, that's unique.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.